Hey, I'm Joel Kim Booster, and you're listening to Main Pod Girl.
Hey, welcome to Main Pod Girl, a podcast made by Popheads for Popheads. Every episode, we'll be diving into all kinds of pop culture topics with some of our favorite artists and music commentators. I'm your host, AJ Marks. Joining me today is one of my all-time favorite comedians. He's a writer and voice actor on Big Mouth, a writer and co-producer on the other two, and has also appeared in Curb Your Enthusiasm, BoJack Horseman, American Dad, and Bob's Burgers. His movie Fire Island is an essential queer film, and he currently stars alongside Maya Rudolph in the Apple TV sitcom Loot. It's Joel Kim Booster. So let's start off with what we're listening to right now. Joel, do you want to go first? What's currently going across your TV screen?
Yeah, so actually, this is all really top of mind because I was just gone for 2.5 weeks traveling, and my boyfriend and I, our media diets are so intertwined. There's like very few things that I can watch without him, and I just got back 2 days ago. So last night was like our big catch-up night of like all our shows, basically.
Oh, perfect.
What did we watch? Top Chef, big Top Chef fan, big reality competition show watcher in general. We are, of course, sort of begrudgingly watching All Stars right now, Drag Race.
Yeah.
And then The Boys. We just caught up on the new season of The Boys.
Okay, perfect. No spoilers because I have not seen it yet.
It's good. I mean, it is pretty much a lot of the same. It's like become increasingly more like a little predictable, the formula of The Boys in general, but it is still so fun to watch and not complaining at all. Although I do think it's probably for the best that it's ending after this season.
It's ending after next season, I think.
Oh, next season. I mean, I will be tuned in, don't worry, but it's like, how many times can I see some guy's penis explode? You know,
It's always that. It's a lot of dick humor.
Yeah, it's a lot of dick humor. It's a lot of just like someone you just at this point, I just like know someone is going to die the minute they show up on screen. I'm like, that is a killable face. So we enjoyed that. And then I'm a big Bravo head. Now, this is like, it's funny, like Bravo is the only thing my boyfriend will let me watch on my own. It is like
Right.
often what I turn on while he's douching because he's like, I need you to be not focused on what I'm doing in the bathroom and noise to be happening.
Yeah.
And so Bravo is the only thing he doesn't care that I watch without him.
I'm obsessed with that being your someone else's douching show.
Exactly.
So I've been really backed up with all these shows that are coming out now that I'm like, oh my God, I really need to get into them. So I'm just trying to like set myself into like a queue. I'm like, all right, everyone get in line. But at the front of this line actually is Loot.
Oh,
That was the first show that I was like, I'm coming right back to this because I love season 1 so much. And I'm not just saying that like genuinely, like, but I have in my queue, I have The Boys, I have Palm Royale, I have the second half of Invincible.
oh, we watched that too. Yeah.
I love Invincible. And then also just the last one is Total Drama Island. It's back. It was like one of my favorite shows growing up, and I love the art style of that show so much. But yeah. So anyway, going back to Loot, I love when people write aspects of like their real life into their fictional characters. And I wanted to know a little bit about how has it been integrating some of like Joel and Joel's life into Nicholas?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that it sort of has been that way from the top because the way I got this role in the first place was I was on a very short-lived NBC sitcom called Sunnyside that has the distinction of being the lowest rated premiere in NBC history
Oh,
and getting pulled off the air after, I believe, episode 3, which this was in 2019. So it
Yeah.
had been years since a broadcast network had pulled a show from the air before it had finished airing. Like they just weren't doing that anymore. Like that's like a throwback to a different era of broadcast TV. The rest of it lived on Hulu. I believe it's now impossible to find, although there is a fun supercut of me and Poppy Lou, who played my twin sister on the show, all of our scenes. So if you want to get a taste of what I think is a show that got a lot better given time, you can look that up on YouTube. But I was on that show, and Matt Hubbard, who's one of the co-creators of Loot, was a writer on that show and really enjoyed my work on that show and working with me on that show. And so when they were creating Loot, they sort of created Nicholas with me in mind. I remember getting the breakdown, and it was like, mean gay Asian from the Midwest. And I was like, I told my reps, I was like, if I don't book this, then we need to really go back to the drawing board about what my future is in this industry, because it was basically for me to fuck up. Like, they obviously wanted me, and all I had to do was audition well, and like the rest is history. And so a lot of me has always been baked into the character from the jump, and that only sort of continued in season two. And they're very open to a certain amount of collaboration. Like, they came to me really early in the process of writing season two and were like, your parents are going to be featured in an episode. Do you want them to be white or do you want them to be Asian? And I said, I think it'd be really cool for my character to be adopted like I am. And especially because the episode was not centered around my adoption
Hmm.
or issues around adoption or identity or anything like that. I thought it was really cool that it was just incidental, like they show up on screen and there is no explanation for why they're a different race than me. I think audiences are smart enough to figure it out, like how a family like that is
Yeah.
created. And it was cool. And then I think from there, though, I sort of opened the door for them to want to explore more issues surrounding my adoption. And it's been a negotiation, I will say, because I'm really happy with how season two turned out with that arc and where it went. But I was definitely hesitant to really dive super, super deep into that because, it's something that I haven't really explored creatively in terms of narrative work. Obviously, I talk about it in my stand up a lot, but it is not something that I've like written my movie about or written a show about yet. In part because, like, I'm still figuring it out too. And so part of the reason I was hesitant is because I knew that people would assume they would make like a one-to-one comparison and say like, oh, this is his actual experience from real life. And a lot of it does line up, but a lot of it is not super similar to my own experience with engaging with my adopted status and my heritage and all of these things. And so they were really sensitive to that and really sort of open for me to ask them to pull back in places and give them the green light to go deeper in places. And so I'm really, really grateful that I'm working with people like Matt and Alan who are so willing and generous with how they write the character.
Yeah. Do you feel like with Big Mouth, you had some of your experiences from adolescence thrown into some of the characters?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole writer's room, the reason they
Yeah.
had so many writers on that show was because, especially at the beginning of the season when we were breaking the season and breaking the
Hmm.
story, so much of it is just us sitting around talking about our childhoods and our adolescence and our relationships to our own sexuality as we were coming into understanding it. And so a lot of stuff spread throughout each of the characters is really ripped from the headlines of one or more of the writers in the room.
See, that I like could totally tell in the best way that that was how that was written, because it kind of feels like everything's autobiographical,
Hmm.
but also insane, and there's no way that this would happen in real life, but also it's like weirdly the most real show, or at least the most real like adult animation show. Me and my best friends watch that show religiously. I see so much of myself and like different things that I thought and different things that like I went through in there, and it's cool to be able to jump around characters. No one is like one character. It's like your little different parts of all different experiences of different ones.
Totally.
So going through your filmography, I mean, Fire Island, your filmography is so like, it's so varied. Are we going to see you write and star in more films like this? Like, do you have plans to do more things in that vein?
So my next movie is set up at Searchlight, is the studio who produced Fire Island as well. And, we're hopefully going to be shooting that early next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the process of hiring a director right now and figuring out some pre-pro stuff, but another vehicle for myself at this point to star in. Who knows with this industry? I have always said from the jump, like, I'd rather this movie get made with someone else than not get made with me at the helm. So we'll see, but that is the idea. It is very much a different movie in a lot of ways than Fire Island, and partially by design. I mean, it was the story that I wanted to write next anyways, but in terms of scope and tone, It's a very different movie than Fire Island. And, you know, there's still a lot of the same DNA. I think the kind of humor, the way I write dialogue, it's all going to be, you know, of a piece. But I knew that the next project would be compared and contrasted to Fire Island for good or for ill. No matter what I did, it's sophomore album syndrome, you know?
Yep. I like that you think of it that way. I like to think of people's movies that way too. Like I feel like Jordan
Right.
Peele is the only one that we all canonically like have the 1, 2, 3, 4 with.
Right. And so I want it to be melodrama. I don't want it to be, I'm not even going to name a second album that sucked ass. But
Yeah, not a sophomore slump. You want like Teenage Dream or something that's like just
exactly. Yeah, that.
classic future nostalgia.
Again, it's like a smaller movie. It takes place over 3 days. It's a wedding comedy, ostensibly, and
Mhm.
everything I write is a little bit ripped from the headlines of my own life. And this is very much a love letter to my partner and to what I have put him through over the course of our relationship as a bipolar person, and the way he has managed to help me get a little bit more stable and grounded. I think like a big part of the story at the center of it is my realization is that I spent so much of my life imagining what it would be like to fall in love with someone and to be in love with someone. And I think the biggest surprise and shock from my relationship has been like, oh my God, I never even really considered what it would feel like to be loved by someone and to
Mm.
feel that love from someone else and how transformative being loved can be. And so the movie is really about that. When it was announced and it was a wedding comedy, I think a lot of people assume that it's like my take on Bridesmaids, but it's actually really much closer to my take on Rachel getting married.
I mean, there are a lot of wedding movies. I know that Bridesmaids is kind of like a North Star for a lot of people.
Well, and my best friend's wedding is, I mean, I think the idea of having like a quote unquote favorite movie is a
Hmm.
little dumb with like the way we engage with movies in different ways, you know, and depending on our
Yes.
moods and,
Yep.
you know, what we're looking to get. But I mean, if I were backed into a corner, gun to my head, and someone asked me what my favorite movie is, it would be my best friend's wedding. So I've loved wedding movies for a long, long time. I love weddings and I love sort of the innate structure of a wedding movie, the innate
Hmm.
stakes of a wedding movie, the heightened sort of emotions that come with not only being at a wedding, but being a part of a wedding. And so, you know, I was really excited to get to write something like this and very grateful that Searchlight is on board to shepherd it into existence.
I love that. Yeah, I got a text the other day that was like, "What's a good address for you?" And I was like, from someone from high school, and I was like, "Is this what I think it is?" And they were like, "Maybe." I feel like every wedding is kind of like a mini movie in itself, and it's nice to be able to like capture that energy. It's a really good like moment in time. So I have a little hypothetical scenario game that we like to play on Main Pod Girl, and it's called
Okay.
Call DM Block. So
Okay.
I'm going to give you 3 celebrities, and you're hypothetically, you're going to have to call one, DM one, and block one.
Call one, DM one, and block one.
Yes.
Okay.
And just because I like a theme, your girl likes a theme, we're going to choose people who grew up in Illinois.
Okay.
So your first contender is Jane Lynch.
Okay.
Your second one is Michelle Obama.
Okay.
And your third one is Jennifer Hudson.
Huh.
So call, DM, block Jane, Michelle, Jennifer.
First off, I'm gonna call Jennifer. I've done her show, her talk show, actually. The first time I did Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson was the other guest. And she's so lovely and so energetically welcoming and right and puts you at ease and is wonderful. But I feel like, you know, not that I couldn't have a conversation with her over DM, but, you know, the vocals are sort of the main attraction with Jennifer.
Yeah,
Let's be
vocal
real.
queen.
And
Yes,
like,
of course.
what a waste to DM her when I could have her on the phone.
And you can't get the facial expressions. She's the queen of
Exactly.
facial expressions.
Get what you really want when you're talking to Jennifer Hudson, which is maybe you might hear her sing a little bit. You never know when she might break out into song.
Yes, exactly. I've had a couple guests here who like just will start singing something, and I'm like, oh, is this? We got to get this on the record. I love that. Jennifer contacted me. She wanted me to put her in this game as a trap to see if you would pick her, and you did. You passed with flying colors.
I think in terms of DM,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I love the vanishing mode in Instagram DM. I love like going incognito. And I think DMs are such a great platform for shit talking. And I think like for me, I think I could have a lot of fun shit talking with Jane Lynch. Like give me the tea on Glee I want to know. I mean, I think we all know who the monsters were on Glee. But like I want the real like anecdote, like the
Yeah.
like who was a monster specifically to Jane Lynch? What did she witness? What did she see? Like give me the real on Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like as for that, I mean it has to be Jane Lynch, and unfortunately that means I'm blocking First Lady Michelle Obama, but to be quite frank, like I don't need her to tell me how to eat healthy. I don't want to hear it.
Right.
I am not
Right.
interested in a discussion around that. And I also think like leave her alone, like I think she would be happy to be blocked too. It's just like she's been at the center of public discourse for so long. She's
Right.
inundated. She probably can't go anywhere without being mobbed. I'm sure
Mm.
she is looking for a little peace. And so that's how I'm framing the block. It's for her, it's not for me.
You know, that's good because if you think about it politically, if she just blocks you outright, I think it becomes this whole thing like Michelle Obama has blocked you. However, if you block her, then like hopefully you set a trend. Everyone starts blocking Michelle Obama, then she doesn't have to block anyone else and
Exactly.
she can just live in peace.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
All respect to her, but in fact, because of my respect for her, I'm
Yes.
blocking her. She does not need any of my nonsense in her life.
Yes. So we have another game, and this one's called Popheads Gone Viral. So nowadays, so many songs are going viral and even climbing into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. So I'm going to give you some songs that I think could go big in the charts once again through 4 different methods. Are we ready to make these songs go to the top?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to give you the 4 methods first, and then I'll give you a song by song. So the first one is featuring Charlie XCX. So that's the first way
Okay.
that it can go viral. The second way is a Glee cast cover. So
Okay.
if they cover it on the inevitable Glee boot, let's be
Yeah,
real,
love.
everything has to get rebooted, and that's, in my mind, prime. And then the third way is a James Bond theme version. It's going to get
Okay.
made into whatever the next James Bond theme is.
Huge James Bond family. So yeah, I know them all pretty well.
And then the fourth way is a mashup with Rihanna. So whether that's just someone mashes them up on TikTok, one of the TikTok DJs mashes them up, and then that becomes officially released, and then that charts, and then it goes to the top. Who knows?
Love. Love a mashup. I loved that era where like everything was about mashups. Like DJ
Yeah.
Earworm, like year end, like mashup. I waited for those to come out. I love a mashup. Like a good mashup is so satisfying. So yes, I love all these.
Perfect. Well, the first song that we have is Domino by Jessie J. So is that going to feature Charlie, Glee cast cover, James Bond theme version, or Rihanna mashup?
I'm sort of torn between two, but I think I am ultimately going to go Charlie because I
Charlie,
do think
yeah.
that Domino could sound really dope as a hyperpop song.
Interesting. So you don't want Charlie on the existing vibe. You want the vibe to fit
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Domino by Jessie J. I guess it depends who would be on Glee at the time, but I feel
Right.
like a Glee cast cover would be fun.
That's the other one that I was deciding between for sure.
If it was like Warblers do Domino,
Mm-hmm.
because I could hear them go, bop, bop, ba-da,
Oh yeah, a
ba-da,
Warbler's
ba-da.
Domino would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's like the big Blaine return. Although if they did a Glee boot, I'm just going to be honest, I hope that they just do completely new people.
I can't believe that Domino wasn't covered on Glee already. It's insane, but
Yeah, actually, I don't think that I cross-referenced to see if they had been covered on Glee, but I don't think it was. No.
well, here we are.
Yeah, Warblers, get on it. So the next one is Replay by Iaz, and the 4 methods, just so you remember, are Charlie XCX, Glee cast, James Bond, or Rihanna.
I mean, it's crazy. We'll have to say Glee cover because I think that Glee is such a great way to experience a song for the first time.
Introduce it to a new generation. Like this song, I think, is like 14, 15 years old or something like that. If you didn't know that song, Glee is how so many songs got popular. That's like We Are Young by Fun. That's how that got popular. Tongue Tied.
I mean, Don't Stop Believing had a huge resurgence because of that. Not that it wasn't huge when it came out and was like already a classic, but
Yeah.
I think it really introduced that song to an entire new generation and made it relevant to an entire new generation in a way it wasn't before.
So Replay, I feel like it'd be a Rihanna mashup for me,
Yeah.
but I don't know which song. Maybe But I would love to hear her sing it. Like, I don't know, like maybe it gets mashed up with SOS or Pon de Replay or something like old like Island Rihanna. The next one, let me know if you know this. It's Pretty Girl Rock by Carrie Hilson.
Yeah. I mean, that one feels really Rihanna. I would like to hear the mashup. I would like to hear it.
I'm trying to think of what song would be thrown in there. She has so many, it's like hard to think of any. But like, you know what it's like when there's so many options that you just can't think of a single one. Maybe Don't Stop the Music.
I think it's like go contrast, not similarity. So like
Okay.
something like Diamonds.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Speaking of like songs like Diamonds, it's crazy that Rihanna hasn't sung a Bond theme.
Ooh.
I think a Rihanna Bond theme song would be so dope. Like,
That would be. Wait, she kind of did Lift Me Up for the Black Panther soundtrack, which I guess is like the closest she's gotten
yeah,
to something
closest,
like
but
that.
I do think there needs to be a little bit more theatricality and
Totally.
grandiosity to it, and that is what was missing from that song. And so, yeah, I think a Rihanna Bond theme would be really sick.
Pretty Girl Rock. You know what? I'm actually gonna go Charlie XCX on this one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. That's a
And
good
maybe
choice.
she could make it XCXified or just straight up sing on the song. I feel like that would be sick. And then the last one is Your Love Is My Drug by Kesha. Charlie XCX, Glee cast, James Bond, or Rihanna.
It is such a good Charlie song, a really good feature. But I do think, I'd love to say Bond theme, but it is Glee. Again, I think it's Glee. And I think like in the context of the episode, it's like someone is struggling with addiction. It's like a sad in the context of the
Oh.
episode. It is like sort of contrasting like the lyrics and the like frivolity that is associated with Kesha and a
Yeah.
lot of her music up until Praying.
So it'd be kind of like ballady or acoustic on the show?
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining maybe that's what we want, but what we deserve and what we would probably get from Ryan Murphy would be like Artie would be struggling with addiction and Brittany would be like, it's okay. And then she sings Your Love Is My Drug and she's like, I'm addicted too. And like, and then it's never addressed again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I feel like there would be something like that where someone's like equating like actual addiction to drugs and like a really good storyline and then just is like in the middle of it just something super fucking chaotic by being like, yeah, you're kind of like a drug, so same thing, and then they don't get it. Your Love Is My Drug. Yeah, I guess Charlie would be a really good one for this. I also would like to say James Bond themed version, but today won't be the day. I'm gonna say Glee cast cover, but I'm gonna say the opposite of what you said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't love to see it, but that's what I feel like what would happen, and I would love to see it once.
Mine is aspirational. Yours is grounded in reality, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then we have one more segment on the show, the last part of our show. This is our top 5. This is where we list a top 5 of a certain category, and this episode's themes is top 5 songs of the summer. Do you want me to go first?
Yes, I want you to go
Okay.
first.
I'll lead off. All right. So we start with 5 and go to number 1. I'm going to start number 5. It's maybe my least summery song, and I'm a proud believer of like a song of the summer has to feel summery. This feels a little less summery. This could be any season. This is omni-seasonal, but like Nasty by Tinashe. I'm really just hoping this is her moment. She's a friend of the pod. She's a former guest of the pod. I am obsessed with Tinashe and I want the best for her. So absolutely Nasty has to make somewhere on my list. So that's at number 5. Number 4 is 360 Charlie XCX, but actually I'm leaning now more towards the 360 remix with Robin and Young Lean. That do is just stuck in my head every time I close my eyes. So I think that is a really fun summer song. Is it the song of the summer? No, because it's only number 4. So number 3 is Show You Mine by Bonnie McKee, also a friend of the pod. I'm very biased here. She is just the queen of songs of the summer. Her whole album is song of the summer contenders, and I am just like absolutely in love with her. I think that she is just incredible. So Show You Mine is my favorite new song off of the album that we like hadn't heard previously. Number 2 is a pretty straight pick, but I'll go with it anyway. It's $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond. This song and artist literally came out of nowhere, and I heard it at a Fenway game the other day with the Red Sox were playing, and 5 seconds of $1 Million Baby played every time something happened. I just felt like it was like the perfect, weird, fun song where everyone in the audience knew it. And my number one is super basic, but it's just, I heard it at the beach today alongside like California Girls and What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction and like Starships by Nicki Minaj and just like all the classic songs of the summer. And then this one was the only new song, and I felt like that just means it literally has to be song of the summer. It's Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. I'm sorry, it is, and I hope that when you heard it in full for the first time the other day, you agreed.
Oh, yeah, I think it's like kind of indisputably like the song of the summer. And listen, I loved it. I think it's an incredible song. I mean, obviously, I had heard the clip many
Yeah,
times. I had heard the hook 1,000 times and I enjoyed it greatly, but for sure, the song of the summer currently.
hell yeah. And for you,
Okay, so number 5
mhm,
is Padam Padam. I am
yes.
not sick of the song yet. I heard it countless times. I saw her perform it live at Horse Meat Disco in New York, which was a disaster, a formative memory of seeing her do that. It's such a good song. And it again like had that quality of like it was everywhere that summer. And
Yep.
yet I could not turn it off. And I never groaned. Even on into August, I was still like, nope, still into it. Heard it the other day. Loved.
I feel like that's very in tune with my number five with Nasty, because I feel like that's also one that's like literally everywhere for the gays. And then if you're a straight person, you're like, oh, hey, what's this song? That's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that part. Number 4 is Call Me Maybe, a song I did get sick of, quite frankly. But again, like, had that quality of just like, it was everywhere. It is Carly Rae's biggest hit. And God knows, I love Carly Rae. I love sort of the mythology surrounding Carly Rae. I think Carly Rae stans probably have the best sense of humor about their pop girl, more so than any other pop standum does. So, yes, huge for me. Number 3. Number 3 is like the song of the summer I graduated high school. And like you could not stop me from moving. Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I remember I have a very summer related memory to that.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like lots of, I mean, this was back when people listened to the radio and you would hear it on every radio station. I would get so excited when I'd hear it on the radio, and like me and my friends would just like go ape shit in the car to this song. Also, honorable mention in this slot in number 3 would have to be When I Grow Up. That one was like another incredible Pussycat Dolls moment in the summer. This
Yeah.
was like the summer between my sophomore and junior year of college. You know, famously, I want to have boobies
Yep.
is what we all thought the lyric was.
I still have a theory that we were not as digitally savvy back then as we
Yeah.
are now. I have a feeling that they changed it on us and just said, oh no, that never happened.
Okay, number 2. Again, like a lot of formative summer memories from this time. Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera. As
Yes.
far as I'm concerned, early Christina dwarfs early Britney in a lot of ways, but I do think looking holistically, Britney comes out on top for me. But in this one instance, in this one summer, I'm not even sure if Britney had a song out that summer, but Genie in a Bottle was like the big one. And then going farther back than I think I ever have on this list for number 1, but will always be the ultimate for me. The only reason I know this was a song of the summer is because I remember buying the tape single, the cassette tape single for this song, which is Waterfalls by TLC.
Yes. I was hoping it'd be some TLC.
Love this song. It's like the most mid-tempo, I think, song on my list, but it is so evocative of summer, and especially a summer when I was like very young and really figuring out my music tastes and buying a lot of singles on cassette from my cassette player.
I love that we both went in different directions. You went like all time. I went this year. Like, I feel like we covered a lot of good ground. Having just come back from the beach and being unfortunately very sunburned, I feel this top 5 and your top 5 to my core. All these songs I want to listen to right now. I just want to head right back over to the beach and put them all on a playlist. So thank you so much, Joel, for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun. I love the game. I love talking about TV. I love talking about music. So this was a joy.
Thank you so much, Joel, for joining me, and thank you to Noah for the theme music. Make sure to rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on right now. See you in the next one.